mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Make It Last podcast. I'm your host, Noreen Dealer. It's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. And this time around, we're going to talk to Candace May Gruber. I hope I got the last name properly. If not, she's going to correct me shortly. She's an author of 2 books, executive director of John Maxwell, and a founder of Candace May Training and Services. Welcome, Candace.
Hi, Noreen. I'm so glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your books before we get into what we're going to talk about today.
Great. Well, the first book was published last November, Powerhouse Women, Survivor to Thriver. It's actually a collaborative work of 10 women internationally from the UK, Canada, and the United States. And it's women who've gone through trauma or some extreme experiences in life and have come out on the other side. So it's meant to provide hope to those who are struggling. And all profits go to domestic violence. One program in UK, one in Canada and the United States. So all proceeds are for charity.
Nice. And the other one? And the other
one I'm most excited about is a full book by me. It actually will release in June this year. Heaven Within, Restoring Wholeness for Better Leadership. And it is, I began writing it in May of 2020. And it's very powerful, covers a wide array of information from leadership principles, how your brain functions, the fight-flight syndrome, your parasympathetic nervous system, systemic issues in society and families, and all about learning and lessons. And it's filled with biblical references of God. So I'm thrilled and excited about this book. I do have a link we can share at the end. If people would like to get notified when it releases. I have a companion workbook that's complimentary that they can use to develop their own personal growth after each chapter.
Okay. Sounds interesting. And it's a nice segue because you said leadership, because that's what we're going to be talking about. How can one lead him or herself to ensure effective leadership?
Yeah, I think that's really important. Leadership, self-leadership. Self-leadership is the first and foremost piece. We have to lead ourselves. We have to have inner victories before we can lead others. And that begins, I believe, with emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? Well, it's a combination of self-regulation, being self-aware of what's going on within you, building enough awareness of your thoughts and your body language. Our body reacts. Our body holds our emotions and reacts in behavior, oftentimes before we intellectually are aware of it. And so when we become attuned to our body and what's going on within our body, we can become more aware of the triggers that are setting us off, certain things that we're feeling and reacting to that can unveil some limited beliefs or false beliefs that take us out of alignment with our relationship with God and his principles and rules. And that enlarges us and our awareness and the ability to self-control your anger and your behaviors and your communication and have empathy for others. So emotional intelligence, that's one side of it. The other side of it, once you have that personal experience and awareness, then you can delve into much stronger social regulation and the social relationships, managing those relationships with others, being observant enough to be able to enhance your listening skills, communicate, to hear what they're not saying, to observe their body language and the tones of their skin and the vibrations that are coming off of them to really connect with them.
So somebody is listening or watching, and with all of what you said just now, Candace, they're going to say, it's easy for you to say, because maybe it is that you have a heightened sense of self-awareness. But for somebody who's listening and saying, Candace and Noreen, I don't think I'm quite there yet, what would be your reaction to them?
Well, welcome to the human race. We all begin where we are, and understanding where we are on the spectrum is the first step of awareness, right? So I don't think we should be judging ourselves harshly, just accepting where we're at, and then begin down the path of growing our self-awareness. How do we do that? One thing, you can get a coach like me. I help people. There you can, there's a great book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. You can buy it on Amazon. A great tool to become aware of emotional intelligence, what it is. It has exercises in there. I strongly recommend that book. I think emotional intelligence is so important that the people who are struggling with mental health issues, if they could enhance their emotional intelligence, it would really give them the tools they need to calm their mind and be able to embrace the challenges of life much easier.
So we're saying how all of this self-leadership and self-regulation can help people to be better leaders. Do you think all of what you're saying applies to one particular type? Well, not going to say particular type of leader, but a particular setting. Do you think what you're saying only then applies in a professional setting, or do you think it also applies in a personal and in other social settings and other settings?
One of the reasons I'm so passionate about developing leadership and self-leadership is because it enhances not only the workplace and the relationships in the workplace, or in helping companies build stronger relationship with vendors and customers. It grows the individual, and that individual takes these enhanced skills and communication and self-awareness and connection with other people back into their families and into the communities, and they have a ripple effect that actually reaches out into the world. And we are changing the world when we work on ourselves. When we grow ourselves, we grow our self-awareness, our connection with God, our ability to self-regulate, our ability to communicate, it increases our ability to collaborate with other people and to build an enhanced network around us. We're only as strong as the people who are around us. And here's the most exciting part. When you start to grow yourself and you become a better person, the people around you will either grow with you or they'll kind of fall away, right? But those people who become excited to see the growth in you, they will become better themselves, because there's just kind of like a natural peer pressure that everybody wants to get better, right? So we lift each other as we go.
You said earlier the whole idea of beginning where you are. No, somebody, and I always have to throw this in for somebody who's going to be a skeptic. Somebody's sitting there saying, yes, I know all of that, and all of this sounds good. It sounds like it's possible. But for somebody to take the time to have some level of self-control, it is going to take time that at this point, I don't even think that I have, with everything that I'm juggling.
Yeah.
You know, the pandemic has brought with it, for some people, some positives, for some people, some negatives. There's just so many different things. So people are juggling the virtual. I mean, the life is, quote unquote, in some areas, people say going back to normal. So people are saying, I'm just really just trying to navigate and manipulate everything that's going on. How can I then add this whole idea of, self-control and stuff? Because it is going to take time and effort that I probably just don't have right now.
Well, what do you have time for? So we all have 24 hours in a day. We have to take time to eat and sleep and go to work. That's true. However, what are we doing with the rest of the time? Do we have moments in between things? We can spend our time watching TV and just kind of letting it seep away, or we can focus that energy on something worthwhile, something to stretch us and grow us. Even 15 minutes a day spent on personal growth will get you to the next level. When I talk about a compass, you think of a compass, and somebody's taking a trip and they're going to use the compass and they want to go north. If they're off by 1%, you think that's not very much, right? It's just 1%. But what happens when you go out? The further out you go, the stronger that gap gets. So just a few minutes every day can close that gap, right? You
Yes.
can grow. It does make a difference. I think we should strive to learn something new every day, become better in some way every day. I know for me, I spend dedicated time every morning to wake up, spend some time with the Word of God, meditating, getting my mind focused for my day. Because we all will wake up with anxiety of some kind at some point, right? That we're all human in this body. So it's important that we get a hold of ourselves and regroup and get ourselves focused for the day. We have to learn to be our own cheerleader and be able to lift us.
That's true. That's true. So we spoke a lot of the whole idea of self-leadership. Let's just, put it deal with the other side of the whole idea of if we do all of this, self-regulation, self-control, it will make us more effective leaders. So do you think the whole idea of being an effective leader is somewhat relative, or just being an effective leader will just, transcend right across the board in whichever, aspect of your life? Or what determines effectiveness?
Effectiveness, that's a great point. What are you working on? Not everyone is going to be a leader in a corporation or leader in a group. We all have different temperaments and we have different personalities. We have different strengths and skills. Somebody who's strong in influence and connection with other people, that makes usually a good leader, right? You have to have that personal connection. But if you're very strong in processing, you may be strong at personal leadership, but maybe you're not leading an organization or a team, right? So, but you're still a leader. You're still a leader of yourself. You're still a leader. We all have a circle of influence in our life. There are people around us that we influence. In fact, every conversation we have, if you think about it, we're trying to influence somebody, whether influencing what we want to have for dinner or influencing the outcome of a meeting or a conversation or whatever it might be. We're influencing every conversation we have, trying to get our ideas across to someone else.
So I'm sorry, continue.
So just learning how to communicate, identify what's going on with you. So when somebody's not in agreement with you, how do you handle that? Right? You don't want to knee-jerk react and get angry because they're not understanding you. It's about whoever's communicating first has the responsibility to get that idea across. It's not the other person's responsibility to understand what you're saying, right? So that's part of leadership, isn't it? So I like to develop leadership that cares. That's the phrase that I like to use. And that's in communication, it's in attitude, it's in relationship, and in the business world, it impacts retention. Emotional intelligence, equipping the team with emotional intelligence. And then of course, sales comes into that. And so I develop leadership that cares with all 5 of those aspects. And I think that's important because even selling is influence, is it not? Leadership is influence, is it not? You're influencing others. Hopefully you're influencing them to do something that's
good,
their best interest, right?
I am sure a lot of you listening thinking that, hey, I'm not a leader, but at the end of the day, if it's some way you have some sort of influence on somebody, you are a leader. We're going to take a quick word from our partners and we'll continue the conversation.
For all your events, such as educational forums, workshops, book launches, weddings, and more, contact Noreen Daly, the ultimate MC and event host. Visit noreendaily.com or follow her on Instagram at Noreen Daily Jam. Noreen Daily, creating long-lasting memories.
Are you looking for one-of-a-kind products customized to suit your needs? Then shop at Trending Things, the place where customization is always an option. From personalized gifts to apparel, accessories, drinkware, and home decor, you name it, we make it. Get your favorite designs on any item for party favors, weddings, graduations, or any special occasion, all at affordable prices. What are you waiting for? Visit our website at trendingthings.com to order your trendy item today. Trending Things, bringing creativity to the things you love.
So, the whole idea of a branding strategy sounded so exotic and so fancy to me. But After having several conversations with Neon, I now have a clearer understanding. I am sure of what my identity is, what it is that I want people to see Noreen Daly as. Thanks, Neon. Thanks, Splint.
Visit them at wearesplint.com. Self-leadership, self-control. How are you dealing with that? And are you making the effort to exercise some level of emotional intelligence in your spaces? Welcome back. Let's continue this conversation on self-leadership and how it will help us to ensure effective leadership. You mentioned CARES, and I like that acronym, but would you say any one of what you just mentioned is more important than the other, or you see all of them on on an equal level?
Well, perhaps attitude is maybe the
Okay.
biggest, because
Okay.
that can get into character qualities. And I think a lot of people miss the importance of character, right? The integrity, accountability, right? When nobody's looking, and having that an attitude of abundance versus scarcity, right? There's enough to go around. We can
Mhm.
all benefit. And somebody may be better than you in one area, but that doesn't make you less, right?
Yes.
And the people that they can communicate and connect with are going to be different than the people that I communicate and connect with.
True.
So there's room for all of us. We all have something to give. And that's part of self-leadership, is discovering what your strengths are, discovering the gifts that God's given you, and making
Mhm.
sure that you're using them to his glory.
Mhm. You said the discovering the gifts. Do you think it makes a difference if it is something that you discover over time? Because sometimes people see in you what you don't see in yourself. Because I know
Always.
for me, that's what happened with me with certain things that I've ended up doing. So do you think it doesn't really matter, just as long as you become aware and then utilize what God has given?
I don't know what you mean by do I think it doesn't matter? I think we
Okay.
have gifts, we're given gifts.
Okay.
I think all of our gifts are from God, that
Okay.
it's not necessarily something that we can take credit for. I think he's given us a certain temperament and certain gifts.
Mhm.
Why we don't recognize them, that's universal. We don't
Ah.
recognize them because they're easy for us. That's the
Mhm.
gift.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what makes it easy. It's so easy, we don't even notice it. We think everybody can do it because we don't have to really struggle at it.
Interesting.
And so that's why we don't see it inside ourselves. That's why, as a parent, I think it's important, or as a boss or supervisor, or even as a colleague, it's important that we speak life into the people around us. We let them know what they're good at. Sometimes we think
Yes.
they know they're good at that. She thinks she's beautiful. She thinks she's so smart. Maybe not. They may not realize it. You're right.
Mhm.
They don't have that perspective because they don't see it.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. You said a lot, and as we're wrapping up and we're trying to ensure that even if a lot of what you said, somebody is still listening saying, boy, I'm still skeptical. As we're wrapping up, and I'm gonna just ask you the question again and just immediately say what is the one idea you'd want to leave with our listeners and with our viewers. How can one lead him or herself to ensure effective leadership?
Spend time every day focusing inward, heaven within. Restore wholeness for better leadership. Work on those struggles that are inside of you, those issues that you're most insecure about. Heal your hurts, because as you heal, you're going to connect better with other people. That's the first step.
You just said the first steps. I sound like I can get maybe about two more steps before we conclude. You said that's the first step. So give me at least one or two more steps as we're wrapping up, Candace.
Knowing where you are is the first step. Taking
Okay.
an assessment of where you are, what your strengths are, your personality, addressing, you want to focus on your strength areas, not your weaknesses, right? Because so too many times we think I'm really bad at this, so I have to go work on that. But if you're working on what you're not very good at, you're never going to become great. You're going to become mediocre at best. So find those strengths that you have and work on those, because you can go from a 5 to an 8 or an 8 to a 10 and be really strong, right? That's what we want. And again, I have these great workbook in Heaven Within, Restoring Wholeness for Better Leadership. I really would like people to sign up to get notified when the book comes. There's a free workbook that you can download that will walk you through exercises. And then in the book, I'm giving away a beautiful gift that's packed full of self-inventory and all kinds of beautiful gifts to help people along the way.
Share the link. Share the link.
So it's pre-order, Heaven Within, all one word, .CandaceMay.com.
Okay.
.CandaceMay.com. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Candace.
Glad to be here. Thanks so much.
This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.